This is Flo, my friend. I'm Jesus Sierra Crespo, and today my guest is Mr. Florian Unkel, who is
Yes.
a German entrepreneur who has founded different companies in Spain and in Germany. He is currently the CEO of Future UG, which is a company that organizes events for businesses and private clients. We'll talk about that later in a second. If that didn't keep him busy enough, he teaches European economics at the Menendez Pelayo International University, which is a public institution that had campuses in 8 cities across Spain.
Correct.
Welcome to Flow, my friend, Florian.
Thank you very much.
Florian, you are based in Spain, where you teach, but the company to which you devote the bulk of your energy and time is in Germany. How do you manage to lead 2 successful career paths simultaneously? How do you do that?
Well, it's organization, obviously, is the
Yeah.
key. I think organization and new technologies. Honestly, I've been doing that since 2004.
Yeah.
It was just a coincidence. When I came here to Spain, I also started the Future UG.
Yeah.
So it's always been like that.
Yeah.
And it has become more efficient over the years
Yes.
because of advancements in technology. And
Yeah.
you have to organize, obviously.
Yeah. Delegation also maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, very important.
Let's get some nuts and bolts of your company out of the way. What is it exactly that you do
Okay.
at Future UG?
The future stands for Florian and in German is und, you,
Und,
Tobias Unkel real events.
All right.
Okay. Honestly, the real events was just to make the word future sounds nice. And
Okay.
you can say real like something, with a touch to it.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and our main products are, on the one hand, it's called Abi Battle, which would be like a high school competition.
Okay.
Abitur in German is like A levels, in
right.
Spanish Bachillerato.
Yeah.
And you can imagine schools competing in a party style. So
All right.
they sell their tickets, they go to
Yeah.
have a party, and we organize everything. Students get money, and us too.
That's good.
Yeah, so we've been doing that for 8 years now.
8 years.
And then the second main pillar of the company is in German Alte Schlossfabrik, which would be
Okay.
something like the old lock factory. It's an old industrial building,
All right.
which now is a performance venue.
All right.
And there, as you correctly mentioned, we organize business
Yeah.
events, weddings, also our own parties,
Uh-huh.
event organization in general.
All right. And business is going well?
Yes, it's going
Yes.
well. I'm happy
right.
to say that finally. Yeah.
It's good. Tell me about the time when you first started out. What are the steps that you took from college graduation to starting your first company?
Well, actually, I started my first company when I was still at university
Okay.
in the Netherlands. That was
All right.
called European Students Book, so it was like a book sale, well,
All
smaller
right.
thing. And
Yeah.
I think the thing that drove me towards an entrepreneurship was when I was starting at the university studying
Okay.
economics. I wanted to do something. I wanted to put it into practice.
Okay.
And I have a feeling it's like either you're born with that or not. It's like I know
Yeah.
your hair color or something.
Yeah.
Some people are more comfortable in stable employment, and
Okay.
others they look for something. And I
Yeah.
was the second type, so I
That
was
was
always
your
looking
case,
for
huh?
opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So it just started there. Yeah.
All right. It's funny because today it seems like everyone is trying to hit the big markets. We hear these stories about disrupting business models, like incumbent business models, like the taxi industry with Uber or Airbnb with the hotels or BlaBlaCar transportation. But we forget that there are huge possibilities to do well, finding a micro niche and providing good service. Sometimes
Exactly.
it's so simple. But what's your take on the obsession that so many young entrepreneurs seem to have? Like about hitting the jackpot. It's like for them it's almost like a home run or nothing.
Exactly, yeah.
What's your take on this?
I think for me personally, I
Yeah.
think it's a very negative development.
Yeah.
Because what you just explained, for me, entrepreneurship is about finding a niche, and the idea is to obviously earn money,
Yeah.
but with the service you provide, the product you provide. But nowadays, the goal is not that. The goal is is on growth, become
Yeah.
as big as possible, as soon as possible, and sell. Like
Yeah.
the first idea is not to have a valid business model that generates revenues or profits.
Yeah.
It's one day Google's going to come and buy my company or
Yeah.
somebody. And
Yeah.
actually many models, they're already, especially in Germany, they're already set up in a way that the final goal
It's that.
is the sale.
Yeah.
Which there's two things about it. One is, yes, you can make quick money, yes, but there's like for one that succeeds, there are 1,000 that fail. And from a political, economical point of view, I think it's critical because there is no substance behind it.
Yeah,
like the goal is growth and sell. So I have a critical view on that.
So we have to take a look at the cemetery to see how many
Exactly.
companies are there, right?
Yeah, because those are not on the news. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. We don't see that.
Yeah.
What separates a good CEO from an excellent CEO?
I think it's passion and the ability to delegate. Because that may not sound like a contradiction, but when you're passionate about something, and entrepreneurs have to be, in the end, some people tend to go towards a point where they always want to do everything themselves.
Yeah.
My brother's a little bit like that.
That's a classic.
Yes. Yeah, it's because
self-sufficiency and
exactly. Most of the time, probably the entrepreneur himself will do it better. The question is, if you can delegate it, what can you do in that time?
Yeah.
And so I think it's that passion and the ability to delegate, to let loose, and maybe say, okay, whoever does that job, maybe it's only 80%, and mine would have been 100, but then 80 has to be enough.
Yeah.
So that's it. Yeah.
You teach European economics.
Correct.
You have founded companies in Spain, in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
You went to school in the Netherlands. So you have a deep understanding of the business intricacies in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most obvious reason that entrepreneurship is weaker in continental Europe than in the UK or the US, for that matter?
Yeah. Obviously, I think culture and the rules and legislations, but the rules and legislations in continental Europe obviously are a result of that culture.
Yeah.
People in continental Europe, especially Germany and also the Netherlands, they are a lot more risk averse than Americans or British people are, and that is deeply rooted in the culture.
So for you, it's cultural.
Yes, it's more it's cultural, and then obviously the whole the whole market situation or the surroundings in order to be in entrepreneurship are a lot more favorable in the US.
Yeah.
There is, I don't remember his name right now, but there's a millionaire who has funded it's not a university.
Yeah.
He's paying people off to quit their studies in order to found their own companies.
Wow.
It's like this classic example, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, they
never
never
dropouts,
exactly.
Mark Zuckerberg and all these people.
Exactly. And again, look at the cemetery. Like these people are on the news, but those who are nowhere now.
Those who are left on the way.
Exactly, so I think that's the major difference.
Okay. It's no secret that one of the greatest European challenges for the coming decades, it's going to be the demographic bomb, or the demographic cliff, as some people call it. European population is aging very rapidly, and problems will arise, especially with the financing of the welfare system. And this is a problem across the board, but especially in countries like Italy and Germany. How do you think the European powerhouse will be affected, the European economic powerhouse will be affected by this decline in the working population?
Unfortunately, I have to say very negatively. It's also called the inverse pyramid. Like, we will have a situation where we have lots of old people and actually too few young people to sustain them. That's the idea of the system. And I think it has to fail by definition. That's why I'm always, for example, in Germany as an entrepreneur, you don't necessarily have to have a pension plan with the government. So, for example, I don't.
Okay.
And people always see Germany as a strong economic power, but I think they will have the same. Nobody will be able to pay that. Like that. I mean, our children. For how many people are they supposed to work? So that's the thing. There is a solution, in my opinion.
And what's the course of action?
In my opinion, immigration. Integration of immigrants. We already have immigrants. I mean, it's a big topic. And many people don't like it, but it's a threat, no doubt. I mean, we all read the news, but it can be turned into an opportunity.
Okay.
Because these people, they're young. And they have a higher natality than our people do. And if we succeed in integrating, if we give them the education, if they're integrated, then we can inverse this inverse pyramid.
There is a solution.
It's a possible solution.
Where do you see potential for growth in Europe? Is there any particular industry that you like?
Well, quite busy with the company, so I'm not screening the market constantly.
Yeah, but I'm sure you look around.
Yeah. I am. And I would say renewable energies. I mean, that sounds like, of course, everybody's going to say that, but specifically storing energy. Because when you have a look at it, it's like renewable energies, there are already very efficient, wind energy, solar energy, etc.
Okay.
The problem is really storing the energy. For example, wind. Like you can produce tons of kilowatts, but the problem is then you need to spend them at that very time.
Okay.
The biggest problem is saving the energy, which is why you have these, for example, a combination of hydro and wind power.
Yep.
So they pump up the water when there's wind, and then they let it through to generate the energy when they need it. Something like that. But if they had like a super battery, that would be something I'd definitely invest in.
So you like that industry, huh?
Yes.
Renewables. What piece of advice would you give to this young entrepreneur, or not so young, maybe, that wants to start a company in Europe? What piece of advice would you give him?
Easy. Do the math.
Do the math.
It all starts with an Excel table, and it can be very simple. It's not that. I've seen so many people who have great ideas, but they never really. Yeah, it's simple.
Sit down with a piece of paper or an Excel sheet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can do it. In the end, it never turns out like that. We all know that. But at least if that already fails theoretically, then you know probably you're on the wrong way.
All right. And on that note, what is the best piece of advice that you have ever received, business or otherwise?
Yeah, there is a saying. Honestly, I don't remember who told me, but I very much remember the sentence, which was it goes like that. Revenue. It's about revenue, profit, and cash.
Revenue, profit, cash.
Yes, revenue is vanity. Profit is sanity. And cash is reality. And
cash in the bank. Show me the money.
Exactly. And that's like you're laughing because you're also an entrepreneur. You know that it's like it really captures what happens. You assume it's like we are like we have a revenue of 1 million whatever. That doesn't really matter. Yeah. If your cost is high or nothing. And then especially small companies nowadays in Spain, it happens like you have a profit in the books like sanity, but the cash is not there.
Yeah.
And then in the situation of today, go to bank, you don't get the loan, you have to close even though the company was theoretically profitable. This is why cash is the reality.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. Really.
Tell me about how you get things done. You're a very busy person. You run a company, you teach a class in a prestigious university, you travel constantly back and forth between Spain and Germany. Do you have habits or rituals that help you be more effective or productive?
Yes, I do, and actually, thanks to my brother.
Yeah, okay.
It's called the abbreviation is DMT, Daily Management Tool. I mean, there are a trillion apps on the market, how to organize your tasks, etc. And it's like handmade. It's again in Excel. And so the difference is every morning I note down all my tasks. Like class or company-wise, whatever, and then they are structured time-wise. So in every hour I can put at most 6 tasks. So I structure it in the morning, and then I try during the day to work it off. Never works out because there are things popping up. But it's also like a challenge to get as many things green as possible. And it sounds, I know, profane, but it does really help.
It does help.
Like it's like to structure in the morning, like these 10 minutes or 15 minutes you take to structure
to organize, get everything.
And then try to push through really like, the things that you plan, want to do them. And of course, I mentioned new technologies beforehand, Google Docs, Google Drive, I don't know, Skype, etc. All these things, they help on a daily basis to manage everything.
What is for you, Florian, success?
That's a good question. I think success is to have a good work-life balance.
Good work-life balance.
And good as in the one that you choose for yourself.
And when you hear the word successful, what person comes to mind?
When you hear the word successful, people like, I know, Steve Jobs or...
Yeah, but for you,
Gates,
who comes to mind?
No, these people come to mind. No, when I hear successful, I think about people that were successful in the field of in the field of business.
Okay.
However, my own definition is not like that.
Okay.
That's strange because I'm sure these people don't have the work-life balance they desire. Well, I'm not sure, but
who knows?
I guess,
Yeah. But is there any historical figure that you admire, Florian?
There's none, honestly.
None?
No. I've really I thought about it, and there is nobody I would really say, okay, that's a role model.
No, nothing. Nobody. What purchase under 50 euros has had the biggest impact in your life in the last 6 months?
Wow.
I mean, something that not being very expensive has given you lots of, I don't know, return on investment.
Yeah. I would have to say there is a parkometer app here. It's like in Spanish it's called Hola. You know, when you these things. And we all know the situation. Like you don't have enough coins or whatever. There's always a hassle. And this application, you sign in, you pay with credit card, and it was 50 euros exactly.
That's good. Perfect.
And it has saved me money, literally, a lot of time and fines because we all know the situation. So that would be it. Yeah.
50 euros, very well spent.
Exactly. A very high return on investment.
Is there any conviction or belief that you have that surprises people when they find out, or shocks people when they find out?
Well, actually, I'm a strange mix between very liberal ideas that can be shocking for my conservative friends, and on the other hand, very conservative ideas for compared to these liberal opinions. So, well, to exemplify it, I think like my take on immigration, I mentioned that before, is rather positive than negative, and I'm relatively alone with that among my German friends.
All right.
On the other hand, for example, labor laws, I'm very strict on that. Like severance pay, I will never understand why somebody has to pay a severance pay when the worker received a salary and he worked. For me, that's the deal. And nobody has to pay anybody anything when it's over. So these are like two opposing ideas.
Ways of thinking. If they made a piece of news about you, what would it be?
Wow. Well, I can choose. I'd say probably the last true European, because I'm really fond.
The last true European.
Yes, yeah. I'm sorry.
I like that too.
Maybe because I really like the idea of Europe. I mean, I've taken a lot of it. I was in Germany, studying in the Netherlands, etc. Now I'm in Spain, and I lived in Belgium, and it saddens me. And I also teach that in class, to see that nowadays the European Union is reduced to like always about, first it was about numbers, like all about the Euro crisis, and now it's about immigration, and the big idea, like, and actually the biggest gift that gave us like peace in Europe, it's like a war between France and Spain is something like, it's like a joke. Nobody would imagine that, but it's not
unthinkable now, but
it's not that far away, and it's like people now, the attitudes are changing. Like the nationalists are winning elections in many countries, etc. Poland. And it really saddens me to see where it's going. And I think the biggest problem is a lack of leadership. Leadership in a way, somebody like Delors or Kohl, like people who really, who sell the idea. Not that much about like explaining economics or numbers or whatever, but really like,
not bureaucrats, but leaders.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Very nice. That, in a nutshell.
What book have you gifted the most in your life, if any?
I'd say it's called Why Nations Fail. It's relatively recent, and it's by the first author is Turkish American, and I forgot his last name, but well, if you Google it, you get it directly. And it's about this simple question, and because why are some nations prosperous and others aren't, and the answers they're giving are very interesting. It's one of the authors is from MIT and the other is from Harvard, and it's, in my opinion, very well written, simply explained. Even if you don't have any background, you can understand that. And for me, it was really the most interesting read so far.
All right, I'll put it in the note show so people can check it out.
Okay, perfect.
What are you most grateful for?
My parents.
Your parents?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't for them. I was a very rebellious juvenile, and my parents were very strict on me. It was a constant fight, and I was very angry at them at times. My father was a teacher, so he was home a lot, and I envied those kids whose parents weren't at home. And nowadays, like the older I get, the more I appreciate what they did for me. Like, that's good. And so that's my answer. Good.
And the very last question, Florian. This is the last question. If you could make a phone call to the 20-year-old Florian and give this young person a piece of advice, or you could tell him anything, what would you tell him?
Wow. First of all, I'd say go ahead. Like do what you're about to do. Okay? Because in the end, again, like the result is sitting here, and I think I'm happy with myself. But probably as advice, squander a little less money, plays, and maybe party a little less and practice more sports. That would be the advice. Yes.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Florian, thank you for coming. It's been a great pleasure to have you on the podcast. Wish you the best and good luck in future projects.
Thank you very much.
See you next time.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Ciao.
You too.